Hey everyone, I hope you're having a great Wednesday. We're going to keep moving on fractions here. Today we are going to be working on comparing fractions with equivalent fractions. So we've been working on equivalent fractions and comparing fractions, and we're going to put the two together today. So first thing I want to talk about is our big rule. Whenever we're looking at fractions and we're making equivalent fractions, we got to remember our rule is whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So first I already wrote out an equivalent fraction here for us. I got 3/4 is equal to 6/8. I know this because to the bottom, we multiplied by 2. So I know whatever we do to the bottom, we also do to the top. Multiply that by 2. I can see that those are equivalent. Multiply 3 by 2 is 6. Multiply 4 by 2 is 8. 3/4 is equal to 2/8. Another way I can show this is I can real quickly make a little diagram. We know our denominator tells us how many parts to split it up into. So our 4 here, I'm going to split this into 4 parts. And this one, I'm going to split into 8 parts. Next, I'll just quickly shade in the parts that we have. That's what our numerator means, parts that we have. This one we got 3/4. And this one we have 6/8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops, there goes my cap. And you can see that those are the same amount shaded in, making them equivalent fractions. All right, now things are going to get a little tougher. So we have a little gap here, as you can see. I put a fraction in the middle. But that's all right. We can skip that step for now. And we can look at this one. To get from 4 to 16, I know that 4 times 4 equals 16. So whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. 1 times 4 is 4. So I can tell us that 1/4 is equal to something that's equal to 4/16. So now we got to think of something that might go in between them. We have to think of another equivalent fraction. So we multiplied by 4. And I know that we could multiply by something else. We could multiply by, just like we did before, we're going to multiply by 2. So start by the bottom here. 4 times 2 is going to give us 8. 1 times 2 is going to give us 2. And we could do a second little step there that brings us to there. 2 times 2 equals 4. 8 times 2 equals 16. So I know that 1/4 is an equivalent fraction to 2/8, which is an equivalent fraction to 4/16. All three of these fractions, 1/4. Oh, my marker's starting to die. 2/8 and 4/16 are all equivalent fractions. And I can prove that by doing those steps right there. All right, things are going to get a little trickier here. This is going to be some of the work that you are going to do today. So I started with our big rule on top. Change up colors, go with a nice subtle brown here. Whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. That's our rule that we're following today, just like every other day. So we're going to try to solve these puzzles quick. Our first one, we got 3 somethings is equal to 9/12. So we know our rule, whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So we got to figure out how we get from there to there, and how we get from there to there. How do we get from 3 to 9? Simple multiplication. Multiply by 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So on the top, we did times 3. That means on the bottom, we also have to do times 3. So what times 3 equals 12? If I think about that for a second, I know that that is 4. I can also think about it as 12 divided by what equals, or 12 divided by 3 equals what, if that's easier for you. So now we know that 3/4 is equal to 9/12. We multiplied the bottom by 3 and the top by 3. Equivalent fractions right here. They are equal. Our next one, 2/6 is equal to something 18. It's kind of a bad 18, sorry. So how do we get from 6 to 18? We know that we multiply by 3. Whatever we do to the bottom, have to do to the top. 2 times 3 equals 6. Equivalent fractions right there. 2/6 is equal to 6/18. All right, now on to our challenge problem. This is the one I'm going to have you work on today. So we have 2 somethings equals something 18ths equals 20/4. So we know a few of these right here. Now, I don't know how to multiply from 18 to 40, but I'll tell you what, I do know how to multiply from 2 to 20, and we can skip that step right there. That's all right for now, and I know that is times 10. So I know whatever we do to the top here, 2 times 10 is 20. We have to do to the bottom times 10. So something times 10 is going to equal 40. We can figure that one out. 4 times 10 equals 40. I got this one figured out. All right, on to this next step. Now, here's where things get a little bit more tricky. And you know what? I messed up. This is supposed to be a 16. That is my fault. That's a 16. So if we're looking at this, we know that 4 times something gets a 16 times 4 equals 16. Whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So 2 times 4 equals 8. And if we look at those are all equivalent fractions, and they are all equivalent to 1/2. So there you go.